Hi, you guys. Welcome to the premiere episode of On Your Level. It's a teen talk show developed for you guys to be heard, to speak your mind, to tell the truth about your generation. I think it's the first of any kind locally and possibly nationally, and I appreciate you teenagers taking time on a school night to come down out of your busy schedule without the promise of pizza, shirts, tennis shoes, pay, or school credit. And I really commend this group of people to doing something novel and genuine. I'm a full-time substitute school teacher and a published author and work with youth full-time for the last 3 years. And I only say doing something unique and novel without an incentive is something endearing because I find a lot of students that need incentives. And you guys came down to share your thoughts. And once again, I really appreciate it. Today we're going to talk about choices. Choices that you make, that you learn to make, that you develop. One of actually Bob Dole recently said, and don't get me wrong, I'm not a Bob Dole fan, but he said, how at 72 or 4 years old, how do you have the stamina to do what you do? And he goes, I think playing high school football helped me develop my character. And I believe in this country, teenagers are developing their character at a very young age. And at times, the price is too high. And today we're going to talk about choices and how you develop and how you grow. And I want you guys to share choices you make and how you make them and why you make them. So I want to open up the floor and talk to me about how a teenager, you think intellectually, emotionally, impulsively, be it schoolwork, sports, hobbies.
Choices are hard to make. They don't come easy to me. Could make the choice to be a president.
Yeah.
I went to college.
You made the choice to come down here. What motivated you?
Friend calling me and saying, go, or else I'll kill you.
I taught 3 classes today, and I saw a lot of kids couldn't focus. They want it here and now. They want to see it. They want to touch it, eat it, feel it. And I think that's a process of our television society. And I think that we can put things on the air that motivate students to act and to think a little more intellectually rather than impulsively.
I think the main problem is, and we see so many statistics that show the negative side of our generation, I think that the choices we make, we often make without thinking, on impulse, under the influence of our peers. And I think if we thought more for ourselves rather than listening to the people around us, we would make better choices and possibly not have such a negative image.
Tell me some choices you guys make spontaneously and some of the choices you make intellectually. I spoke to Grant earlier that said he's a soccer player. That's a choice you make?
Well, over the summer, I traveled over summer. I came back, and I wasn't sure if I really wanted to play soccer or not. And when I came home, I talked to my dad about it. And I mean, I thought of other things that I would not rather do, but other things I'd like to do other than soccer. And he really tried to persuade me with making me play soccer because he thought that the school would look upon me in a better way, and thought it'd be better on my college application and all that if I played sports.
So your father inspired you.
Yeah.
And as we all well know, divorce is high, a lot of missing dads out there. I guess you're probably pretty fortunate to have a father that you could sit down and talk to.
Right now, you have to make a choice. A lot of colleges are looking at you saying they're judging they want you in their school or not by the choices you make right now, whether to do extracurricular activity or focus right on the things that your parents are saying. Do your homework, don't be in sports, concentrate on those things. And it's hard to make the choice between being a great student and getting the perfect grades compared to having fun.
Yeah, one of the things I found when I first developed this show is the pressures that teens have, the time, the commitment, the school, the church, the extracurricular activities, and the sports. Someone tell me about your life and the pressures day in and day out, time-wise, and the commitments.
Well, I think that some of the pressures that I have in school is that, like, we start school real early and everything, and it's not like we have the whole summer that we get to do what we want to do. And then all of a sudden we start school and everything's way off. You don't remember anything, and then everybody's like, you got to do this right. And your mother's like, do this right, get this straight. You got to have straight A's. I don't want anything lower than A or B. That's just the way
One
out
of the
there.
things as a teacher that you guys are going to love me on this one, that there's a couple schools, more than a few schools around the country that implement year-round. And it's not year-round, but it's instead of 3 months off, a month off. And it seems to, in that concept, gives you more extended focus with less long breaks. So maybe one day get to go to school all year. But that would, that would help your attention span. It really would. The choices that schools make for you, they do it with your best interest to make you a better person.
But see, the thing is, people don't want to be in school. I mean, you want to be in school so you can learn and so you can, you know, be a better scholar. But a lot of people don't want to be in school. They want to, like you were saying before, they want to see things then and do things now. And they don't want to learn about history. History's always boring because people are dying. You don't want to know about people, you know. And it's just, people want to get up and go around and move in school. I mean, if they want to put us in school for longer times, I think that's, I don't think that's
I do see a lot of antsy youth. What makes, do you think this generation, your generation, is any more antsy than previous generations, and you want to share with me why?
There's more to do. There's activities outside of school. There's more trouble to get into than there was a long time ago. there's choices you have to make.
More media, more computer stuff, more information thrown at you that make you think that there's wilder things out there than that classroom.
I also think that kids these days, they're much more optimistic about what to do, what they can do, you know, and a lot of things about it is the teachers don't understand. I think there's a big gap between the students and the teachers, and they cannot relate to many of us on how we think, how we feel, just about any certain topics.
So what choice are you going to make to deal with that obstacle that you feel is in your and your generation's way?
Well, personally, I mean, I'm a very open person, so I would open myself up to the teacher. I mean...
You told me you're involved in student council and a lot of extracurricular
right.
activities.
And, I mean, that's also another way to get involved, but you don't necessarily have to do that. You just have to open yourself up. There's only so much you can do if the teacher doesn't want to, you know, give you his opinions on certain things, I guess. It doesn't... You just have to open your mind and
not fight it, because there's certain
Right.
things you can control and there's certain things you can't. I kicked a kid out of English today, 10th grade English, that said, I haven't taken English since 6th grade and I'm not going to start learning it now. And I had to say later. You know, that's one way of handling it. The other way is to do your work. You could spend more time whining about not doing your work than doing your work and keeping the teacher happy and keeping you happy.
I make every day, that whenever I got homework, I just come home and I do it before I ever go outside, before I ever talk with friends. I just come home and do it. That way I got the whole night free to myself, and then, you know, I can go out with my friends and not feel guilty that I didn't do my homework the next morning.
Yeah, get it done. You know, human nature is to procrastinate a little bit. That's a good choice. Let me ask you this about your choices, because we're all sort of a bit products of our environment. Tell me how your family, your church, your generation, your music, your television set has shaped, how has it shaped you? Tell me how your role models have shaped you to make good or bad choices.
We're all part of this Generation X type thing that we've all been labeled, and none of us are really sure what we all want to do. We can't all agree on one thing, and we live in like a real anti-Generation X, you know, environment, whatever you want to call it. And like we've got these 50-year-old government teachers who hate us, and all they do is tear into us. And it's like they don't give us any choices because they don't want to give us any freedom. And then they wonder why we're just like totally defiant of what goes on. So in essence, I guess the people, the older generation, who are calling us X generation, are really putting us like in a bad place, to put us in a place where we don't want to make right decisions, where all we want to do is screw
Well,
up.
I think every generation has that diversity and that gap. And I sort of suspect, you know, I've not lived about 20 years longer than you, but every generation has this diversity. And that's just, I guess it's part of growing up. It's just the choice on how you deal with it and the things and the people that you immerse yourself with that empower you to make better choices. Share with me some instances of people or things in society helping you make good choices or bad choices, and be honest.
Well, I once read somewhere that one can only make an actual reasoned choice if one has discovered as many different possible opinions on a certain subject as one can. You have to see the whole picture. You can't be blinded by the media or whatever else is blinding you in society. You have to find out as much as you possibly can. You have to research before you make the decision, because otherwise it's not going to be very effective. And I think that in our society, especially with all the colleges looking at us now, these are the most influential decision-making years of our lives. We have to decide where we're going to go to school, what we're going to do. And so I think that when my dad told me this a couple of years ago when I was a freshman, he said, you know, you've got to be able to see the whole picture, because otherwise you're never going to get anywhere. And I think that's kind of helped me out the last couple of years.
What about people that can't see the whole picture? You go to a big school, you see a lot of kids not seeing the whole picture.
Decisions are made now. I mean, you don't wait and research all your decisions. You make the decision, you go with it. It's either good or bad, and you have to deal with it.
Share with me a good decision you've made and a bad decision you've made.
Well, I mean, I do my homework. I don't wait until I get home and do my homework right away. I mean, I have school functions. I have friends. I'm not about to just go home and do my homework. Right. I mean, and I got to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm at school at 7. When I do my homework, I have to stay up late as anything, and you can't sleep. And sometimes that's why we have so many people sleeping in study hall. I mean, first period we brought pillows to study hall.
I see a lot of kids sleeping in school, and it amazes me. But again, if I walked in your shoes and saw the hours you kept, I maybe would understand. I still don't think I'd let you sleep.
Well, the teachers don't keep their interest. I mean, they have to be the teachers have to be active. They don't want to just see somebody behind a podium and just talking. They want to see some excitement, some change in tone of the voice.
So, since I hear a couple school bashing stories, tell me some stories that you have done, some choices you've made to make it better. You know, you're on student council. Have you done anything to inspire your educators?
Well, I mean, it's not necessarily the whole group of senators, of whoever. You know, we do little things, whether it's walking for a kid who just had surgery on his back, who's very disabled, and earning money for him to get a new wheelchair, to, you know, talking about drugs and, you know, stuff like that. It can come from any part, I guess.
Yeah. Let's talk a couple R words, race and religion, because I know I got a few people here from church groups, and I know I got a couple different races. Tell me someone that is religious. Tell me how religion has helped you form good choices.
Well, I go to church a lot, and decisions, you're supposed to be, you know, like good, you know, but sometimes you don't want to be good, but sometimes you have to, because the church leaders around my church kind of force that upon you.
Got a friend that just, her church is so strict on just listening to Christian music and going to church like every night of the week, and she can't listen to what she wants to listen to when she wants to listen to it. She's got to be a good girl, and it's like, that's not her, because I see her when she's away from church and away from her parents. She listens to what I listen to. She listens to rap. She just is how she wants to, and it's her choice. But her parents are first forcing another option on her that she doesn't want to choose.
And you're young lady that goes to church, do your parents force it on you, or is it sort of a mutual choice?
It's sometimes it's not appropriate, and sometimes it is. Like if you're in church and you just pop open your stereo and start listening to it, that's not appropriate.
See, there's some positive things about going, well, I go to
church
temple.
or temple.
Yeah, and there are some positive things. I mean, it's not just that you have to go and they have to pray all the time. I mean, I've made so many great friends from my church and our temple, and I can just hang out with them all the time. And I mean, it's something that we have in common, that we share in common, our religion, and we can talk about it. And if we don't understand something, we can ask them, and they know what it is or whatever. I mean, it's really great to be in groups with, like, church groups also.
Right.
And because you do activities and go places and meet new people.
At a couple of the schools I teach at, I ask the kids to listen to the morning announcements, and they don't. And when I was in school, I was involved in things. And it's nice to get involved in things. It's a choice you make to not listen to the announcements and think that there's nothing there. I did a TV show at a school last year. None of the students knew about it because they didn't listen to the announcements. And I think you should listen to the announcements and get involved.
That makes school go a lot faster, and it makes it more fun if you're involved in student council and sports.
And you end a day and you say, what did I do? I just went to school. Okay. But I went to the student council. I worked on the soccer team. I was at, I stayed after school and helped a handicapped child. It gives you a better sense of fulfillment. Now, these words all sound like words because you guys are youth and you want to do things that bring you a little bit quicker pleasure.
When you go to school, it's like it has to be the most important choice of your life, because if you don't do that, you're missing out on a lot of things you could do when you grow up, and you'll be able to hang out with your friends. You won't be able to do that because if the parents find out that you're like fighting all the time and everything, you could be cut from doing all the activities that you would like to do and all the things you like to do when you got older.
Yeah, and college has tighter requirements these days, and they will look at your grades easily at a freshman and your extracurricular activities. And to even get into a state school, you have to show a pretty severe commitment to your studies, or you'll be going to school, at a junior college in a small town. Tell me about your peers. How do you choose to pick your peers and make some good choices with good peers or bad choices with bad peers, and how do you fight that temptation off?
Everybody says that peers decide what you're going to do, but you decide what you're going to do. I mean, if a friend of mine told me to do something and I really didn't want to do it, I'm not going to do it. I mean, people say, oh, well, I was with my friends and stuff, we were just having fun, but, I mean, you make your own decisions. They're not going to tell you what to do.
Mm-hmm. And if they are your friends, they wouldn't force you to do anything that you didn't want to do.
And friends really don't peer pressure you. They're just doing it there, and you want to be like them, you want to be with them, and you do it. But, I mean, if you can make your own decisions, you can do that.
The unique thing about you guys is that you came down on a weeknight and you made a choice to do something endearing. There's a lot of people out there that are not conscious with what you just said, that don't understand that they do have the ability to make their own choice. And maybe they're out there watching because that's something we should talk about, because there's people out there that don't understand the choices they're making, and a lot of them are youth. We've heard about youth drug use, pregnancy, crime, up, 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 up. Now, I don't know if one of those youth wake up and say, today I'm going to get pregnant, or I'm going to sell drugs, or I'm going to commit a crime with a gun. Those are kids that maybe not able to make a good choice.
Yeah.
And your generation is a bit plagued with that stereotype. You guys aren't dope-slinging, impregnated, angry murderers.
But see, you can't just look at us and say that.
True.
I mean.
True.
I mean, I walk through my school and I see pregnant girls walking through the hallways, and it's like, wake up. You don't have, they're living in some houses, in areas which are really bad, and you're bringing a child in this world. That's really bad, I think. That's not cool for me.
But you don't understand the choices that they're making. You can't just diss them like that.
I'm not dissing them, though. I'm just saying.
You have no idea what they've been through.
I mean, they can make their own decisions.
Well, no, they can't.
They can say
they
no.
can, but there's a lot of people, when I picked the subject for this show, I asked a psychologist, how do kids make choices? He asked me, how do adults make choices? And what we need to do is have more compassion, as you said. We can't, as you said, we can't diss someone that gets pregnant. What we can do is understand them.
I don't think kids today get enough recognition for speaking their own mind. It's not like every kid does something because their friend says so. Somebody doesn't get pregnant because their friend got pregnant. Everybody has their own mind, and we don't get enough recognition for it, I think.
We also don't get enough recognition for the place that we live in right now. It's not the greatest place in the world. I'm not dogging Indianapolis, but you got to look. Bill Clinton just bombed a small country because he wants to get more votes. It's just the things that we have to deal with.
Yeah, and that goes into next week's subject, the media, and how you're affected with your reality of the world.
I realize that a lot of people make different choices to be accepted.
I mean, I see kids in my school that they'll get their driver's license early, and like the bad group of kids, whatever, put that label on it. People put, will get the person, like, hang out with them just because they have their license, and then the person with the license will do the bad things that they do just so the person will be their friend.
Peer pressure and use and abuse of friends. Tell me some positive choices you guys are making right now in your life that can give hope to people out there about things you're doing in life. I know all you guys have things you do that are positive. Speak up. Tell me something exciting that you're doing in life.
I'm playing the guitar. I'm learning how to play, and if I do that and I get older and I'm a very good guitarist, I could like teach somebody else or try and inspire somebody else if I became famous one day. It helps them to learn too.
I was gonna say one thing I'm pretty proud of that I just made a choice of was I quit smoking. It's been 2 weeks now. I've been smoking for like 3.5 years, and it was a hard choice to make. And all my friends are smoking, and it makes it even harder. I still have other things that occupy my time, though. I mean, I stay with the piano, I read my books, get my homework done. But smoking cigarettes, it was like a part of me, and now all of a sudden it's gone. It's really a hard thing to live with.
But you feel a lot better that you had the stamina and the guts to do that.
It just makes me feel better about myself.
Give him a little clap for... Because you look at most adults that smoke, and they started smoking when they were a teen. And one week we'll do a show on smoking, because I think it's one of the most important shows that we could do.
Another really good choice is sport. I mean, I'm involved in it,
Yes.
and all my friends are. I mean, it teaches you competitiveness, teaches you how to win, how to lose, how to see other people and accept them for their differences because you have a similarity, and it keeps you off the streets. Sports is definitely a good choice.
Like for those people that don't play sports, that aren't athletic, that can't even do anything, can't run. I mean, they pick instruments and they can play. Like I play the cello, and I've been playing for like 4 years now, and I just fill people's minds with beautiful music, and I think that would, like, I'm not athletic at all, and I just think people do make the same choices as playing sports, and it's competitive. You can meet a whole bunch of new friends, and it's just really great to be in.
And even if you don't play sports, there's groups to be in that can occupy your time, and there's activities and other things that don't involve like physical activity. They involve mental, like being on the chess team or whatever.
Or reading, or writing, or doing poetry. Someone else tell me, I see 20, 30 kids here who speak up. Tell me some choices that you make that are good, or tell me some choices you should or will make that are good.
I think the best choice I made in my life is being an exchange student. I mean, I'm from Uruguay, it's so far away, but it's exciting. I mean, to meet other people, other culture, just to know other guys, just what they think or how they live, to know how high school, I mean, these huge high schools that you have. I get lost in my first day, so it's a nice experience, and I'm proud of myself to do it. I mean, just to learn another language, it's very hard. I mean, that's it.
Well, congratulations. That takes a lot of guts, and that's cool.
We're all staying in school. You see people that just like drop. Like I've already seen half my classes get chopped in half because people just drop out.
I don't know if they drop out or if they just switch to other classes.
I had a friend she had a lot of problems when she was growing up, and she was probably about a year or so behind, and she dropped out of high school when she was a junior, and now she's got a baby, and she thinks she's going to make it, and I don't see that happening.
Well, I quit school, but now I'm going back to night school. And there were some reasons that I quit that you just couldn't help. In some of the schools nowadays, you just can't help it.
No help from the administration. They don't care what you have to say. And a lot of times you don't have a choice but to quit if you want to learn.
They say they've heard it all, they've seen it all before, and they just don't want to deal with it anymore. They've had everything to them before, and it's just the same old story.
Yeah.
They're not willing to listen anymore.
Well, I think if you believe that, that's how you're going to perceive your effort at getting them to listen. So I think saying those things it's not good.
But being a student at the school I go to, I don't even come up with like the normal excuse. I try and tell them what truthfully happened. Dog eating my paper is not going to work.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's my foreign exchange student got hit by a car last year, and I couldn't make up my work because I had to spend time with him in the hospital. Teachers wouldn't care. They didn't care. Administrators didn't care. I was giving up my own time to care for this guy in the hospital who had a fractured leg and everything. And I was like almost failing half my classes because I was giving up my time. Administrators didn't care. I tried to give them my side of the story, and the world's like that.
What about tomorrow? What can you guys do tomorrow that will make you feel better, that doesn't involve a lazy emotional choice, but an intellectual cognitive choice? Tell me something you could do and tell me something you would do.
I get really excited when I do good on a test because I know I've struggled for it and I've studied really hard, and it just gives me joy and pleasure when I get a good grade.
Come on, I need hands. Everyone should raise their hand and tell me something they can do.
I think one of the things I try and do every day is I try and get one more person, I don't care who it is, I just want them to listen to a different point of view. I mean, if they hear what I'm saying, that doesn't mean they're listening to what I'm saying. That doesn't mean they're comprehending. And I think every time that any one of us tells somebody something in a situation such as this, when other people are listening, that's helping them to make better decisions, as the case is.
I think one of the things that I try and do every day is try to keep people happy. I hate to see when people are down and they look so depressed. It makes me feel depressed, and I have to see people smiling. If I don't, I feel like, let me go cheer them up. Even if I don't know them, let me see them smile and leave. It's just something that brightens my day when I see a person smile.
One of the simple things that we can all do tomorrow is to reach out to someone that's not happy or sad, or someone that looks like they're making bad choices.
It also helps to keep, like, basically along the lines of she said, just keep a positive attitude, you know. Look on the brighter side. I mean, it might not be that easy, but it'll help a lot in the long run, and it'll keep your eyes open, you know, maybe to a better choice you can make. You know, you see somebody that's sad, go cheer them up, you know, or at least acknowledge them and let them know there's somebody out there, you know.
Yeah, I make it a point to help at least one person, you know, every day. Just try to help them.
And don't forget that. Yes?
I think that a choice to make to encourage people that are not in any extracurricular activities to get in extracurricular activities instead of going home every day and sitting in front of the TV.
Yeah, be nice. That's the easiest thing you can do.
Well, every day I kind of try to use my influence that I have, well, what I do have, on someone else. Because, you know, it just gives, if someone doesn't have enough guts, it gives them, I give them what I have, and then it makes enough for them to do something.
Right.
Get rolling.
Well, you guys, I hope that everyone that said something they can do and will do tomorrow, they'll do it. And for the people that didn't say it, will find strength in the choices, good choices that you guys are making, and bring it into tomorrow and the next day and the rest of your lives. I really appreciate you taking the time to coming to the premiere episode of On Your Level. Be positive. Listen to those announcements. Be friendly to all people. It will be one of the best feelings you'll ever get. And thank you very much for coming. I really do appreciate it. Hi, you guys. Hi, teenagers. Welcome to another episode of On Your Level, a teen talk show. Being honest, trying to be sincere, endearing, and telling the truth to the public. Today, we're going to talk about the media. Media in regards to print, in regards to radio, in regards to television. How they're targeting youth, how they're influencing your generation, and what you guys believe is reality. I have a lot of opinions on this subject myself, but I want to open up the floor and talk about the media.
Media never says anything good. It's always like somebody got into a war, or we're bombing somebody's country, or like somebody got raped and killed last night. They never say like, well, some guy made honor roll or something like that. Seriously. I mean, no one ever gets recognized for what they're doing.
They never show the programs that go on that are good programs for everybody that people can get into all over the community. They show, yeah, you go on with the people that are the downsiders, and they don't show the people that are inspiring little children to go out and be the future generation to be great and wondrous. And
that's what sells. Garbage sells. That's all there is to it.
I was going to ask you why, but garbage sells.
Okay, but I think it's that mainly the good shows like Bill Nye the Science Guy and Mr. Rogers or Channel 20. And I mean, don't nobody change to Channel 20. You barely can get in your TV, and you be thinking, let's go to 13 and something else is on. And you be like, hey.
Yeah, if you have a choice of cops with a good picture, Bill Nye or Blair on your level, you're going to turn on cops, right? I turn on cops.
You know, it's about money, because why would you want to watch some like show that educates when you can watch some violent movie and that's what sells? If you look at every movie that almost comes out, it'd be like 4 out of 5 are all violent.
Right.
And there's like they killing people, you know, like Eraser. Schwarzenegger gets like a ton of other guys, like the whole army, and blows the hell out of people. And it's cool, it's violence, but you know see like some.
Yeah, and I as a talk show host and a writer have tried to develop my own perspective of human nature, and through this TV show, I believe teenagers, our most vulnerable commodity in this society, can learn to pick up nice things in a fun way. We don't have to act like we're so serious and we're so boring. We can say something nice and endearing, and it doesn't have to be based around trashy people and trashy subjects.
Well, something I find interesting is how we see, him talking about Eraser and Schwarzenegger and lots of guns and things like that, but I find, like, the evening news tends to be even more violent than those. I mean, I'll be sitting there eating my chicken pot pie and some guy gets pitched out of a 4-story window. There's splatters all over the pavement, and I think, I really don't want to be seeing this. But and the really scary thing is they have the audacity to show it. On TV. When Dole's sitting here complaining about all the movies we're seeing where 500 people get killed, yeah, that's fake. And they'll learn that eventually. But the people they're seeing getting shot and the blood they're seeing on the streets, on the news, that's real. The shots from Bosnia, the shots from Desert Storm that we saw, that's real. Those are real dead people. And they don't grasp that, and so they're growing up in this society where it comes so naturally.
Yeah, and Simon seems to be a pretty sensitive, cognitive youth. There's a lot of youth. No, he does. I mean, how many of you guys say that you want to barf in your chicken pot pie because of the evening news? Most of you probably just sort of say, okay, another one bites the dust, and you put on a song and you go rock and roll. The point is that the nature of this subject today, media, is that I believe that a lot of youth, through cigarette ads, beer ads, talk shows, are being heavily targeted. The Congress, the Senate are trying to control and make demands on advertisers and television networks to stop it. You're killing a generation. You're getting a generation addicted to anger and to trash and to, it's like I speak to kids on a regular basis. Compton is a city this big outside LA, but you got guys from Bemidji to Tennessee to Wyoming that think Compton, where Snoop Doggy Dogg is from, is like their home place. and there's people that think Ricky Lake, maybe not you people, but there's people that think Ricky Lake is the princess. and they think Snoop Doggy Dogg is the man, and they think an alligator crawling across an NBA commercial with a 12-pack on his back is Mac Daddy awesome. I watched that commercial, and I said, I'm not entertained by it, but if I was 16 years old, I'll remember that crocodile and that beer on his back.
I mean, you look in the newspapers and you see a Navy plane crashes into a house, kills 30, and then in this fine print on the bottom, a man pulls a baby from a drowning from a car in a lake, and the good things are never emphasized like the bad things are.
I read the paper last year about this officer, and I'll never forget this, about this cop, all right, who knew this mentally retarded person, all right, and his bike broke down, and he like rode this bike everywhere and everywhere and everywhere, and his mom died, and all this bad stuff happened to him. So this cop raised all this money up and got him a brand new bike, and that was on the front page, and I thought that was very neat. That's good.
But how often do you see
Yeah.
that? I mean, there's so many more instances where you see negative things.
I've heard of the girl who was on Playboy that was a cop. More than I've heard of that. I mean, it's true.
Yeah, and what I want to ask you guys is that how do you think it affects your generation? I walk around schools all over this country, and I see kids emulating their favorite musician and their favorite sports star. I mean, I see kids coming to school in clothes that I wouldn't even want to. They come to school thinking that they're Shaq or that they're Snoop Doggy Dogg's brother. Tell me how it affects you when you see, tell me.
I think the main thing that affects the youth is music. It's just music. It's everything you hear. You hear like violent music, and the beat catches your attention. Then you hear rock and roll music, and some people are into that, and you like to nod your head and bounce it and everything. But it's the music. Music is the main thing that affects kids. You see kids around the neighborhood that are walking around dragging their pants down because they seen it on a video, and all these guys were rapping, dragging their pants down, and it looks nice. And eventually, it's gonna get in your head. Let me drag my pants down. So I mean.
Who says it looks nice?
Well, it looks like on the video. It looks like the video is that, and everybody watches the video.
The young kids are so impressionable. I mean, they see the rap star sagging or whatever, having a mohawk or whatever, and the kids want to do it. I mean, they think that's awesome. They think it's cool. This main big guy has done it, and, well, they want to do it too.
I totally agree with that, with young kids being impressionable. I was going over to my girlfriend's house today, and I was just driving along, and I looked over the side of the road, and there's just maybe 5th grader with his hat cocked back and his pants down to his knees, and all his friends were like that, and they're walking down the street and doing all this and all that, and I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, I don't want to see some kid's butt crack when I'm walking down.
When they bend over to pick something up in school and you see their stained little underwear on their rear ends, it's like, I don't want to see that. I'm here to learn.
And you know what? I asked groups of students, teenagers, I go, do you think you're affected by this music or these talk shows? And I get a defiant group of people. They go, no way, I'm not. But you watch it every day after school, but they swear that they're not affected by it. I'm going to tell you something. These companies that put this money into these advertising, they wouldn't do it unless they know that they're getting results.
I saw a talk show a couple weeks ago that had this guy, he had a bald head, and he had these little screw-in things that he like screwed in a metal mohawk or something. They had like interchangeable things, like Christmas trees or something for Christmas. It looked so crazy. Why would somebody want to do that to their head?
To get on TV.
Not just that.
It's like an in-crowd thing. It's like an in-crowd thing. I mean, maybe their friends think it's cool and they just want to be part of their friends and look cool with them.
I think it's a lot of people that, actually do, wear clothes like Snoop Dogg and all that. They let themselves because they see somebody expressing themselves in a different way. Maybe they don't have a form of self-expression and they see that and they like that, and there's no way for them to express themselves. Like being a musician, I try to convey like a better, like taste of music. I mean, not like our style, but we don't like try to say, go smoke a big fat bowl, go drink beer and all that. We don't try to glorify that stuff to, make people like us.
Yeah, it's 1996, and I think musicians like Snoop or talk shows like Ricky are on their way out.
Yep.
I think, yeah, I think health and being nice and being endearing is back, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, isn't that a cool concept?
But those are the people who reach out to us. Like, you don't see our 50-year-old government teacher, like I was saying, you don't see him reaching out saying, why don't you guys talk about legislative with me, the legislator with me. They, it's like people like Snoop Dogg who, jump out at you and they talk about cool things, and we're all influenced by certain things in our lives. I mean, we all can't dog being a gangster because we're all influenced by our own style, our own, Marilyn Manson, whatever her name is, or a Calvin Klein commercial, whatever it, whatever it may be, it influences all of us. And gangsters, whatever it is, they're influenced by a certain style of people.
Another problem is that they don't know when to, call it quits. They look at it and they maybe see someone walking down the street with a gun, or just talking to anything from a video, whether it's country, rap, hardcore, Motley Crue, whatever it is. But I mean, enough is enough. They don't know when to say this is realistic and this is not.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think a lot of the way kids think is through the advertisements. They see a lot of it. You turn on the TV, you see a cigarette ad. You open a magazine up, you see a beer ad or something. I think you show kids things enough times, then they think that it's got to be cool.
Yeah, I saw a show on 2020 a few months ago interviewing 5-year-olds on prettiness and sexuality. And they concluded, I saw 5 and 6-year-olds interviewed, and it was always the girl that was dressed the least and the most shapely that the little girl said, oh, she's the prettiest. So they're influencing 5-year-olds' perceptions of sexuality, teenagers' essence of being thin, your smoking habits, your drinking habits, your Nike habits, your Snoop habits, and
one show is Power Rangers. You see, I mean, you could be walking down the street and you see 2 3-year-olds fighting each other, acting like they're Power Rangers, beating the crap out of each other, and they think it's okay.
Yeah, and they're not only targeting teens, but they're targeting the young kids. Yes.
I see this. If your parents played a role in your development, then you wouldn't be influenced by all the stuff you see on the media and stuff.
That's straight up. Now the point is that maybe there's a lot of, Troy, do you think there's a lot of parents that might be slipping?
Yes.
Why? What can we do about it?
They spending less time with their kids, you know what I'm saying? Most of them have a night job, you know what I'm saying, and they leave their kids in the house by themselves. And, they start looking at the TV and stuff, and, they get influenced by all that. Their parents ain't never around to tell them, no, you know what I'm saying, don't do that, you know what I'm saying? So that's what, basically, I think was wrong with the parents,
And, are your parents, do they work at night?
My mom works during the day,
The question is, for the parents that work at night, if that's where their job is, that's what they got to do.
There's this show it's on MTV. It's called Beavis and Butthead. But that show made a little child burn his house.
I know, but
And
that was also because the parent was not in the room at the time. She went outside to talk to her neighbor and left the 3-year-old and the 5-year-old home alone.
Well, yeah, but still, home alone, technically, she was out in the front yard.
Yeah, but
Kids are going to do what they like to do.
Yeah,
come on.
I mean, what feels good? Being with a girl feels good. Doing drugs feels good. Drinking feels good. And so, of course, they're going to do it. They don't like doing homework. That doesn't feel good. And so they're going to go with what feels good.
Well, see, there are those people who feel good when, they have intelligence. And, like, my sister, for instance, she feels excellent about herself because she's gotten so far in her intelligence level, whatever. And she's just absolutely so smart. And she's proud of herself. And she hasn't done drugs. She hasn't been with guys that much. And she doesn't, I mean, she has, but, sorry, Sarah. But, I mean, she gets joy and pleasure out of everyday life. It's not just the things and,
But you can do both.
Well, yeah, but...
I mean, I know
But you
people
don't have
who
to spend
smoke
money.
out. I know people who drink and have sex with girls and stuff, and they still get A's and B's.
Yeah. Yes?
Yeah, I think the media just looks at a certain, group of teenagers and, implies that they all smoke weed and, they all go out and they all look like thugs. And then they put it on the news, right? And then our parents watch the news, and they're, trying to crack down on us for no reason.
They stereotype.
Right.
Yeah. One of the things
Right
I see
on.
about teenagers these days is there's a lot of, pardon the word, hippies back, but wholesome hippies. I see a lot more Grateful Dead shirts and a lot more liberal Birkenstocks in the whole picture. But that doesn't mean that you're using drugs or you're anti-war.
I'd like to say something about that. The way I dress is how I dress. This is who I want to be. And a lot of people, my dad's starting to call me a hippie, and I yell at him for calling me a hippie because I see people that are true hippies at my school. They walk around, don't clean themselves, wear dirty clothes day after day after day. And I'm not like that at all. And I hate being stereotyped because I'm a happy person. I love meeting people. And I mean, I just want to be who I want to be.
I did a show a few weeks ago that I watched on TV the other night. It was on stereotypes, and it was, pardon the stereotype, it was very funny. It was the labels that we all fall into, especially as teenagers.
I think one of the things that some people stereotype us as is because we're young and that we look a certain way that we're dumb. And they think that we don't have a brain, we can't think. So when teachers look at us sometimes, they don't think, well, she has something, let's think about it. Maybe she can comprehend something. They don't let you think about it. And the media these days, they don't let you, they just explode what they think is right. They don't come for the truth. They don't find out what's real or anything.
And they don't try to help kids. I mean, they see a bad kid and they say, well, forget it, I don't care. And they'll just base on the people that are wearing like polo shirts and just sitting in class quiet and doing their work. And they see like somebody just slacking off and they don't try to help those people. And that's probably why we're falling back.
I think the thing what she said about, like being your own person and doing what you feels right, it's not about doing what feels good because a lot of times that's going to get you in a lot of trouble. But I mean, just like, be your own person, express yourself in the way you see fit, but also, don't let the media and music influence you in ways that you normally, you shouldn't do,
The thing interesting about this the stereotypes in the media is that you guys seem to, be all relatively level-headed kids. There's a generation out there that there's a bunch of adults sitting in a boardroom right now figuring out how to target kids that are eventually going to be smoking, drinking, sex, and guns. And that's what we sort of need to speak out to these advertisers and have a little compassion for the kids that they're targeting.
Well, I kind of got a problem watching TV with like my little brother, and little by little more clothes come off girls on TV. And I mean, I don't want him telling his little girlfriend to start dressing like that or something's gonna happen. It's just it's kind of.
So what are you gonna do? Turn the TV off?
I mean, yeah, I have no other choice, and I can switch the channel, but little by little, it's all gonna be the same, just 'cause there's sick people out there.
Yeah, that are adults that are targeting you guys. I'm gonna read a quick poem that I wrote about the media. It's something I wrote earlier today, and it says, TV, radio, rap or song, worldview, right or wrong. Teens be adults, adults be kids. What is real? The media skid. Blood, guts, or murder, religion or preach, violence, music, anger, screech. Show me the world, a kinder view. Media tell us, teens, what's true. Don't target, don't aim, don't suck us in. Future is life, not sin, sin, sin. Talk shows are Budman, Camel, or Joe. Tune in for teens, the future knows. And, that's right. I mean, the corporate people out there listen to us.
Well, I think I read somewhere that 75% of what you remember is what you see, and 15% is what you hear. And so we're talking about being influenced by cigarette billboards. I read somewhere as well that Mickey Mouse is getting to be less recognized now. More kids are recognizing Joe Camel over Mickey Mouse. And I mean, people our age, I think we're already over the hill, as it were. I don't think this is going to affect us as much as it would have 10 years ago. But I think for anybody who has little brothers or sisters, not necessarily censor what they see because you can't really stop it, but just try and help them see through the haze of what they're becoming succumbed to.
There's a family that I know of, and they have adopted children, and they have like 13 kids or something that's living in this little house. They have censored out everything because they don't listen to the radio, they don't watch TV. Everything that they watch on TV, their TV is for movies. They rent movies, they buy movies, they have catalogs of their bookshelves of movies. The kids cannot watch TV. That's their thing, not public TV. That's why they're not influenced by commercials, by Ricky Lake, by Sally, by all the things that go on TV, by MTV. They got cable for CNN, for the parents to watch. Kids are not allowed to turn on the TV to watch a regular show after school.
So is there a happy medium? Is there a way? You know, we've come out with the V-chip that's going to be in TV sets next year that's going to block out the angry shows and the violent shows. Is there a happy medium?
You can't avoid it. I mean, because they're going to see it. They're going to go over a friend's house. They're going to go see all the movies that they really want to. They're going to see the sicko movies. They're going to see the pornos. They're going to see all that. And you can't just avoid it. You got to explain to them that it's bad or not to do this, or yet you have to talk to them instead of just denying that it's there.
Yeah, and Simon said that, you know, he thinks that, you know, maybe this subject has passed this group by. I guarantee you there's people in this room that are unfortunately going to start smoking cigarettes in the next few years. And I know there's people in here, as nice as you guys look and as charming as you are, you're going to make bad choices. And I think, be it 13, 15, 17, 18, it's going to take that much more strength to fight off the obstacles and the advertising and the peers that's going to face you.
Earlier they mentioned Channel 20. At my house, my brothers are homeschooled, and during the day and while they're up, the only channel that is on in our house is Channel 20. And they're like really good shows that are like really like inspirational and educational that they watch and that they like to see.
I was talking to some of my friends the other day and about like how our parents portray us and how they expect us to be when we grow up. And I can only think of the kind of stuff that we as teenagers are exposed to with the drugs and all this media, and how it's going to affect what kind of parents and adults we are. And when you look and like you talk to your parents about how their life was, it was just, it was real simple. Everybody, it didn't really seem like anyone did anything that bad compared to what teenagers now do. And I'm just trying to think like how it's affecting us in the long run.
Yeah, and that's a question I have is, what do you guys think of the world, and tell me why?
I think a bad part of the media is sex. That's like one of the most things that's on like TV and movies and stuff, and you wonder why there are a bunch of pregnant kids in high school.
Because they think everything's okay.
There you go. Yes?
I think the world is like last night I thought the world just sucked, right? But now I'm thinking, the world is a beautiful place. God made this great place for us to live in. And I'm not about to let the media down me for thinking that this world is a bad place.
And one thing about you, Reed watched my show last night on cable access. He coincidentally called up the night before this show. I called Reed back, I talked to him, he showed up, and he's a part of something sort of neat. So you were channel surfing, but you surfed by the right channel.
Yeah, totally. Like we all sit there and we watch like Ricky Lake and whatever and whatnot. And, we're all influenced by it. And more of us should be watching shows like this, where it's like other kids explaining why they think the world is such an awful place, or why it's such a great place even. And we all sit down in front of our TVs and turn into vegetables at 4 o'clock in the afternoon until about 9:30 at night when we all go to sleep. We should maybe we should be the ones changing the channel and watching.
I invite all you guys to do whatever you can to make On Your Level a success. It's going to take letters. It's going to take corporate sponsoring. It's going to take interest, not only for yourself, but for people out there that were watching it, that are going to be watching it, because this is going to succeed, but it's going to take help, and it's going to take thick skin and perseverance.
I think a lot of the media you see this pretty lady that's smoking cigarettes, but if you had a guy that had lung cancer or had cancer in his vocal cords, that has a hole right here to speak, when he has to push on that to speak, they would think, oh my gosh, that may happen to me, and they wouldn't want to do it.
I know, like they were saying before, I know, a lot of it starts with trust. And when you see all this stuff on the news and everything, you start to lose trust. And if there's not people at home that are saying, are communicating with you and saying, that's not right and stuff, then people, all these
kids, and little kids are not going to listen. And I know we have a program at our school where these little kids come in, like, for 2 periods, and because we can understand it, you know, I mean, there's, like, all the people in this room are intelligent enough to understand and to make, you know, choices and to not watch the media. So if we can pass that down to, like, the little kids, like, that come into our
That's a
school.
great
and
program.
stuff,
I would commend anyone in this room talking to Jennifer after this program and asking her how you can develop a model program at your school to instill in little kids what's up. Yes.
There needs to be more shows on TV like this that show kids that the world can be a great place when you make the right decisions and don't do the wrong things, as such in drugs and cigarettes and alcohol.
Who hasn't spoke? Tom.
At the same time, when everyone's degrading the advertisement and everything, but how many times do you go into a liquor store? Let's say I'm going to get a case of beer, and hopefully this beautiful lady's going to come out of this can I'm going to open. You're not going to buy a product for the person who's advertising it. I don't want a pack of Camel cigarettes for Joe Camel to come and knock at my door. I mean, I don't want the Marlboro man coming to my house, hey, you want to have a cigarette with me? I mean, if you're that impressionable to believe in all that, then that's your own fault, and it starts with those guys at home.
Yeah, Tom, the question is, how many times do you go into a liquor store?
Tom.
You played the Fifth Amendment. And you know, Tom, it does begin at home. And it does take personal responsibility. But there's a lot of people that lack the home, that lack the ability to take that personal responsibility. And what we have to do, us people that understand that, step up for them and let them tune into something they can watch and touch and feel, and give them a phone number and a place they can call and a place they can get support and get them off the inability to make bad choices.
What a lot of people don't talk about is drugs. And I hate to be the one to bring it up, but I mean, people don't take our consideration about drugs. They think all we want to do is just smoke drugs and inhale drugs and whatever. And it's not true. I mean, we have opinions on the matter. I mean, like, if I were to say that I was for legalization, then I would be like, oh, you're just a druggie. But if my dad's for legalization, he thinks that it would help the government, it would bring money for the government, it would stop all the bad drugs that are going on. And really, marijuana isn't as bad as, like, tobacco now because all that nicotine they're finding in it. And, I mean, what happened with Prohibition, it, like, saved a lot of people's lives. There was a lot of crime over it, and...
Kids want to do what they can't reach. They can't drink until they're 21, so they want to drink more. They can't smoke until they're 18, so they want to smoke younger. I mean, I know a friend over in England, and they're allowed to drink over there. And so there's younger kids drinking, but they're used to it. I mean, they don't have the people going into liquor stores and...
It's not something bad.
Well, you guys, we're coming close to an end. I think one of the neat things that we can do tomorrow is talk to Jennifer and try to instill that program in some of our other schools. We got kids representing, I think, 10 or 12 different high schools here tonight. I think that we need to be aware of things, talk to Jennifer, and be aware of the media, and turn up the TV for your younger brother and sister. Thanks for coming, you guys.
If I can reach the stars, pull one down.